Hey guys, today's chapter talks about drugs and drug addiction. It is interesting chapter. It is directly linked to the previous lesson, by which we were discussing the propagation of the nervous message at the level of the synapse. I highly recommend to pay attention really well while you are watching this video. And in case you found any difficulty, just pause the video, take a photo, and feel free to contact me on WhatsApp. As an outline of this lesson, I'll be explaining about drugs and the mode of action of two drugs. That is, how do drugs work. In the future lesson, we will be discussing about the drug withdrawal symptoms. So, by definition, drugs can be any chemical that changes the behavior of a neuron. Keep into consideration that drugs usually affect the presynaptic or postsynaptic receptors. Before I move on, I would like to make a quick recap of what we were discussing last time. We were talking about how the nervous message moves at the level of the synapse. So this is the synapse, the space between the pre and postsynaptic neuron. So this is the presynaptic neuron and this is the postsynaptic neuron. So we said that neurotransmitters, which are red dots, these are chemical messengers. They are carried by a vesicle which acts like a taxi or cab. So once these vesicles reach the end of the presynaptic neuron, the neurotransmitters will be released by exocytosis to the synapse. Then these neurotransmitters will go and bind to their specific receptor. This fixation will lead to membrane potential at the postsynaptic neuron. That is, the message will be conducted to the postsynaptic neuron. And in the last step, we have a recapture pump or enzymes that come and destroy these fixed neurotransmitters and they recapture them to the presynaptic neuron. Now, in this slide, I will mention some common drugs that we hear about, such as marijuana, also known as cannabis. Marijuana users often describe the experience of smoking the drug as initially relaxing, creating a feeling of light-headedness, and the user's eye may dilate, causing color to appear more intense. Thus, users may have feelings of panic. Another examples are morphine and cocaine. We discussed both of them in the previous chemistry medicine because these two drugs are frequently used in the medical field while treating patients. In what remains of this lesson, I'll explain the mode of action of two drugs, which are cocaine and morphine. Remember that the mode of action, it means the way that these drugs function. Now, please, I want you to focus with me and to pay careful attention. In this slide, I'll be explaining the mode of action of cocaine. We will see how cocaine functions in our body. Before we start, you have to keep in mind that normally dopamine is a neurotransmitter that is already found in our body, and it is responsible for the sensation of pleasure or happiness. So, if you look at this photo, you can notice that dopamine is colored in red. Normally, we have vesicles carry dopamine at the level of the presynaptic neuron. These vesicles release dopamine to the synapse, and dopamines go bind to the receptors found at the postsynaptic neuron, and then we have recapture pump that takes, or enzymes that take the dopamine molecules and recapture them to the presynaptic neuron to be recycled. This is in normal cases. However, when users take cocaine, what happens is that cocaine in this picture is colored in white. Cocaine go and bind to the recapture pump, by which they prevent or block the function of recapture pump. That means dopamine will be trapped inside the synapse. Dopamine will get stuck on the receptors. Thus, you will feel the pleasure or the sensation of happiness for a long period of time because there is no enzyme that destroys them. There is no enzyme that takes them off from the receptors. They are stuck on the receptor, and thus the intensity of pleasure is intensified. Okay? So, in the final slide, I will be explaining the mode of action of morphine. Before we start, you have to note that substance P is like a neurotransmitter, which is a chemical messenger responsible for the feeling of pain. So let's have a look to this photo. Let's consider that substance P that is responsible for the feeling of pain is colored in blue and is carried by a vesicle to be secreted to the synapse. When the user takes morphine, what happens is that morphine blocks the secretion of substance P to synapse. So morphine blocks the secretion of substance P. Substance P will not be secreted to the synapse. Substance P will not be able to bind to the receptors. Thus, you will feel no pain at all. Okay? Remember that in chemistry, we said that usually cancerous patients who are in the fourth stage of cancer usually take morphine so that they won't feel the pain. So now I think you have understood the mode of action of morphine. That's it for today. Please, I ask you to watch this video for more than one time. And in case you have any questions, I'm here to help you. Stay safe and stay home.